I'm making this video about the Simmons 416 by 40 Pro Target because I couldn't find a review video on YouTube specifically for this model. They have other models, but not this one. And this one is the one I wanted as far as power range, and the lesser power doesn't have a side focus. So the only ones that have the side focus are the 416 and the 624. This is the 4x16. The specifications for the scope are easy enough to find on the internet, on a site that sells it, or at Simmons' site. But the one specification that I couldn't find and I really wanted was the total overall length, which is 15 inches and 1/4 with the end caps, about 15 inches without them. I have it mounted on a Ruger 1022. On the Ruger I have an aftermarket pick rail, and then I have the Burris signature Z-rings with the inserts. And I use the insert in the back that elevates it 10,000ths of an inch. And then in the front, I lowered it with the insert on the top 10,000ths of an inch. And they don't equate exactly to minute of angle, but I hear it's close. If you want to do the trig on it, you know, there's plenty of trig calculators, or if you have a good calculator and you know trig, you can work it out yourself. But I'm sure it equates somewhere roughly to between 10 and 20 mils of drop, which should take this out more than enough for what I'm going to use it for. Right off the bat, I noticed that the turrets, the elevation specifically, was very difficult to turn about midway through the adjustment cycle, for lack of a better term, or range, I should say, midway through the adjustment range. I mean, it was so difficult to turn, I actually thought that the turret had bottomed out already. But, I gronked through it, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I was shocked that it didn't have that much adjustment. And it turns out it was about the middle of the range, and I had another 2 complete turns of adjustment. So the elevation was about 4.5 turns, just short of that, with a very difficult, unacceptably difficult point in the middle where it feels like you're at the end of the range. So, honestly, most people might send the scope back. It was that bad. But it's loosening up a little bit more, and I'm going to stick with it for at least a little while because I went through a lot of trouble to mount it. It's shooting fine. Very happy with the results that I got. And, I'm going to stick with it for at least a little while longer because I did have another additional problem. The windage adjustment is about just under 3.5 turns total. A range, and it was a little stiff, but not nearly as stiff as the elevation. But wouldn't you know it, when I removed the cap, the adjustment cap, after I zeroed it at the range and I wanted to put it on zero, the O-ring that seals it was torn. So I put it back on there anyway, and I'm gonna get in touch with Simmons and give him an earful, get another couple of O-rings back from him. But the elevation turret was unacceptably stiff in the middle of the range, and the windage turret was stiff but not too bad, and they're both loosening up. The focus turret was nice and smooth right out of the box, so no complaints with that. It's mill. The adjustments are mill, and the reticle is mill dot. So I'm okay with that. And the objective lens is 40 millimeters, which I wanted because I wanted to keep the weight down as much as I could. I wanted it to be as compact as possible, but yet have that power up to 16. And I was shooting it at the range at 50 yards, and on 10 power, and I did quite well. I'll show you a target. So I really don't have any complaints because I got it for $90 at Optics Planet. It's I think usually around 100, and then they have a $10 off coupon. You may have to add like some patches or something to get you up to the $100, but you should be able to get it shipped to your door for about $100. Optics Planet was a little slow on the shipping. That was another annoyance, but it was what it was. I got it to my door for $90. Here's a shot of the end caps. You can see from the photo on the left that the interiors are smooth. Then in the center, I show a picture of one of the set screws. And then on the right, I show that there are 3 set screw positions about 120 degrees apart. You don't really have to tighten them that tight. Just snug them up, and between the 3 of them, they seem to hold just fine, even with all the difficulty I was having with the stiff turrets. These are all 10-shot groups at 50 yards. It's a just over 3-pound trigger. It's a JWH hammer, so it drops the stock pull about in half. But I'm still not happy with it. I just really didn't feel like I enjoyed the trigger. And the top 3 ammos, I shoot left to right, 3 groups, 10 shots each of the different types of ammo. Didn't really perform well. It's got a Green Mountain aftermarket barrel too, by the way, but the receiver's all stock. But when I got down to the CCI standard velocity, you can see in the center there, I got a 675 center to center 10-shot group. I was happy with that. So the CCI shoots the standard velocity, and then the SK standard I got, which performs well in just like every gun that I have, and it's also the same as the Wolf target. I turned in a 605 center to center 10-shot group, and you can see the other 2 are pretty tight too. So with the CCI standard velocity and the SK standard, and that'll be also Wolf match, this gun with the trigger and this scope should turn in some really good group. When I get the trigger pulled down a little more, I expect to do a little better. I hope somebody finds this useful. I wish that I would have been able to find the length specification on the internet when I was shopping for the scope.